Story of Bartolome de las Casas. On one day, watching the Spanish behead and rape 3,000 people in one day. Pour hot soap down the throats of people. Cut children in half with one stroke of the sword on bets. It gets worse. One day.
They would make fine servants. With 50 men, we could subjugate them. Subjugate? And make them do whatever we want. That doesn't sound like a slave trade to you?
George Washington had slaves, the father of our country.
Well, what's your point?
His history teacher was teaching your son that if Columbus was alive today, he would go on trial for crimes against humanity like Milosevic in, Europe.
Look, you have to walk in Columbus's shoes to see what he went through. People thought the world was flat, for crying out loud. Then he left on an island with a bunch of naked savages on it. That took a lot of guts.
No, like it took guts to murder people and put them in chains.
He was a victim of his time.
Who cares? It's what he did.
He discovered America is what he did. He was a brave Italian explorer. And in this house, Christopher Columbus is a hero.
I thought Columbus was the hero of America. But I never liked Columbus.
The Wasatchu are like bees. First one, then the swarm.
There is an endless supply of white men, but there always has been a limited number of human beings. Some Indians were deliberately given plagues, tainted with smallpox. Where you withdraw the ability of people to subsist, to sustain themselves, where they ultimately end up dying in destitution, things like malnutrition, starvation, exposure to the elements, disease for lack of medical attention, so on.
And each time I arrived in another city, somehow the white men had moved all their people there ahead of me. Each new city contained the same white people as the last, and I could not understand how a whole city of people could be moved so quickly.
It's necessary for Native people to disappear because the entire structure territorially dependent upon that. And red people are to disappear.
I feel a sadness for the white man. And he has no roots, no foundation.
Their faces and their instincts had been turned to the west ever since Plymouth Rock and Jamestown. Race is an invented construction. It does not exist in nature. Race is an invented construction. It does not exist in nature. Why do they call you white? You look rather pink to me. Why do they call you white? You look rather pink to me. As long as grass grows, wind blows, and the sky is blue. But sometimes grass don't grow, wind don't blow, and the sky ain't blue.
There were 60 million buffalo, and in 60 years, they almost totally wiped out down to a few hundred.
Well, I tell you, but I don't want to get into a long and detailed discussion about colonialism and the missionary position.
The only good Indian is a dead Indian, and the best Indian is one who is good and dead, said the white man.
And Indians are being hunted and killed as a matter of policy throughout the Anglo-American portion of North America for several centuries.
Hello, white man.
Hello, Indian. How are you?
I'm okay.
Books,
literature. You know, the waiting there makes me laugh at his writing.
That the required number 2 pencil is a bow and arrow, and every math question is Columbus, and every essay question is Custer.
George Washington, was the first to violate any treaty. Thomas Jefferson's response to the so-called Indian problem was to annihilate him. Abraham Lincoln, on the same day he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, he also issued an order directing that 38 Dakota people be hung. Teddy Roosevelt is the biggest thief to ever occupy the White House.
Cannot exist surrounded by our settlements and in continual contact with our citizens. They have neither the intelligence, the industry, the moral habits, nor the desire of improvement. They must necessarily yield to the force of circumstance and ere long disappear. President Andrew Jackson.
And I can see that something else died there in the bloody mud and was buried in a blizzard. A people's dream died there. It was a beautiful dream. For the nation's hope is broken and scattered. There is no center any longer. And the sacred tree is dead.
Why don't you finish the job?
Stupid fucking white man.